My name is Denise Phillip Rutledge, and this is my video reflection of the RASW process for Texas Tech University. The forms were pretty straightforward. I put my student's IEP goal in the spot for that. The goal throughout the 5 worksheets was that she was going to complete 2 written assignments a week using a word processing program on the computer with 80% accuracy for spelling and punctuation as measured by teacher observation. To achieve that goal, one of our learning targets was to teach her to keyboard correctly and efficiently. We used the American Printing House for the Blind's Talking Typer keyboarding program. So throughout all 5 worksheets, she has a learning target related to the accuracy in words per minute using that program. The evidence then, after each lesson that went into spot number 3, was her words per minute and her accuracy. I used an Excel graph with 2 y-axes to denote the words per minute and the accuracy. And so for each worksheet, I just added an additional column until she had completed all 5 columns. Throughout all 5 of them, on the reflective analysis pieces, I really had to look beyond just some of the problems that might be associated with teaching the student how to use the program, but also some of those extraneous variables that I don't take into consideration right away automatically, such as the student experiences some anxiety and she was having some related to something else, but because I was the first class she had each day, some of that was cropping up while we were trying to complete some of this work. For my reflective learning community, I went to a variety of sources. I had the OT at our school help me look at some of the dexterity issues that had come up during the reflection piece. I had the paraprofessional that also works in the class work with me so that we could look at where there might be some problems with the program. I used the mother and the general education teacher in my learning community to identify additional areas that the student could practice and environments she could do some of these skills. So the last step was always the strategy of what was going to come next. So I would take some of my answers to that reflective analysis piece to help direct my next steps. And for the majority of the time, I needed to do some pre-teaching before I jumped into the keyboarding timing with the student. The student needed some training in learning how to listen to the auditory cues from the screen reader to denote when the caps lock key might be on, so that she was hearing the higher inflection of the voice to tell her that it was a capitalized key character that was being input rather than the lowercase that she needed. She needs to learn what the sound was that denoted when she had created a mistake. The student had to have some practice in identifying various places on the keyboard, like the light that showed her when the caps lock might be on. And then also we did some practice trying manipulatives like putting a cover over her hands so that she wasn't spending so much time with her vision trying to look from this monitor down to the keyboard. Overall, the process went really well. I think my greatest successes came in that reflective analysis piece, where I could really look at all the variables that might be affecting the student. Some of the difficulties with the process, I didn't have any for this initial go around, but as I've used these more, it is more difficult to really add a lot of description if you're trying to do this process with more than one student in a classroom to meet various IEP goals and various learning targets. It's a much more cumbersome process to have multiple RASWs going at the same time. I have learned, though, from gathering the data that it's not always about the success rates that were based on quantitative measures such as numbers and graphs, but you also need to look at the qualitative measures, reflect on whether or not the goal was written in a way that the student could succeed at it, and whether it was functioning as a good goal for the student. I found out in that reflective learning community piece when I contacted the librarian in charge of keyboarding for the general ed classroom that my goal of 20 words per minute with 70% accuracy far exceeded the school district's goal of 9 words per minute with 80% accuracy for a second grader. So, it was a good learning piece for me, that by including other community members from the child's team, you might be able to rework some of your IEP goals. I have already used these several times beyond the practice I had in my internship, and I can say that they help me to write a better IEP goal that's obtainable, and to identify problems that I might not have seen before if it was just me and a student working quickly in a classroom on a learning target. This really helped me reflect and go beyond just the basics. And I know it's helped me improve my instruction, so I have solid data that can help drive some of the goals that I'm writing for my students. So thank you for the opportunity to use this process in my internship and beyond.